Hello, and welcome to the Thyroid Warrior podcast. I'm Ebony, and I'm here as your wellness facilitator. I'm going to be sharing my experiences in managing Hashimoto's disease. I really hope that it'll help you on your personal journey. Keep in mind, however, this does not substitute for medical advice. It is only for your information and motivational purposes only. Now, let's get started. Hello, everyone. I am so excited that you are listening to today's episode because I want to talk to you about healthy fats. So last week, we talked to Karen Lang, a heart coach, on how important it is to take care of yourself, how to make heart healthy choices, and how to really focus on making small and measurable steps in order to improve your overall health. So for today, I want to talk about taking it a step further. So let's talk about the things that you can do to improve your overall health, which will ultimately really help your thyroid gland. And first, what I want to do is talk about 4 types of fat. And fats have gotten a really bad rap over the years, and it's very confusing because one minute something is good for you and the other minute something's not so good for you. So I want to talk about all those things and really break it down so that you all understand the basics of it and you will be able to make, hopefully, more informed choices about things. And maybe when you go out to the grocery store or you're eating out somewhere, you'll have a little bit more of an understanding of how you can eat things that will ultimately help your thyroid gland. So let's get started. So I started off talking about 4 types of fats. So we have 1, saturated fats, 2, trans fats, 3, monounsaturated fats, and 4, polyunsaturated fats. So we talk about saturated fats and how they're good for you, but you want to make sure that you minimize the amount that you consume. So when I'm talking about healthy fats, what I'm talking about is beef, pork, and chicken. More specifically, the really fatty parts of it. Saturated fats are typically solid at room temperature, so an easy way to think about that too is think about butter. That is a really good example of a saturated fat. The other thing is different cheeses or different types of oils. So when you think of palm oil or some type of kernel oil. The reason why you want to be careful when it comes to consuming saturated fats in a higher volume is because, as we talked about, it can raise those bad cholesterol levels and it can lower your good cholesterol levels. So we talked about LDL being your bad cholesterol and HDL being your good cholesterol. And it can really increase the risk of heart disease or having a stroke. And you really want to make sure that you're being careful with the amount that you consume. It's not that it's bad for you. You just want to have everything in moderation, as with most foods. The next thing is your trans fats. And when you think about trans fats, again, these are some things that you kind of want to consume minimally. And examples of those are basically a lot of your processed foods. Or when you go to a fast food restaurant, typically they will cook with a trans fat or some type of hydrogenated oil. Like the next time you go to the store and you look at a food label, one of the things that you'll typically see is partially hydrogenated oil. And again, that is going to raise your bad cholesterol, it will lower your good cholesterol, and it can increase your risk of having a heart attack or stroke and type 2 diabetes, because those trans fats or hydrogenated oils can also be found in baked goods and fried food. So again, everything in moderation. What I really want to focus on is the good fat, the good stuff that, again, in moderation is important, but that's going to be your mono and polyunsaturated fats. And those are typically liquid at room temperature. So when you think about those, in some cases, an easy thing to think about is olive oil or avocados, or, people talk about fatty fish. And when they say that, they mean your mackerel, your tuna, herring, all of which I'm not the biggest fan of, but I eat it because I know it's good for me. But salmon, sardines is another one that's kind of tricky. Sometimes I'm like, ooh, these taste good. And other time I'm like, oh my gosh, what was that? And you definitely you want to be really cautious when you take sardines to work, because they can really, really be felt across your office space. I literally just had an experience of this when my coworker opened a can of sardines in the sink in the common area, and I just about lost it. But when you're home and comfortable, if you love sardines, go for it. Anyhow, those unsaturated fats are what's going to help to lower that bad cholesterol. They're going to lower your risk of heart disease and having a stroke. And they really provide you with the nutrients that you need in some cases. And when you think about those unsaturated fats, we oftentimes think about our omega-3s and 6 and 9 and all those fun things. And what I want to point out to you is when it comes to examples, again, think about your fish, walnuts, flaxseed, eggs. You can also check the packaging on the eggs, because sometimes they will have added omega-3s to it. Again, always make sure that you're checking with your doctor to make sure if you have some type of deficiency, or you recently went to the doctor and you got your levels back. Talk to them about that in terms of making sure you're getting the nutrients that you need in order to be healthy. But continuing on to a quick list for you guys, your chia seeds, spirulina, cod liver oil. Ugh, cod liver oil. It has a very interesting place in my heart, but maybe it's in my head, but it does avoid that winter sickness that everyone seems to get around me every year, but I somehow avoid the plague. So I have respect for cod liver oil and its ways. Hemp seeds or olives, dark chocolate, nuts. Again, olive oil, your avocados, and other types of nuts. Naturally, if you have a nut allergy, don't eat that type of stuff. And it will be good to talk to your allergist or nutritionist about sources of healthy fats that you can consume. So now that we've kind of walked through what the 4 types of fats are and what kind of examples are good for you to have, I just want to go into a little bit more detail as to why fats are good for you. And the biggest thing is they give you fuel. And think about when you open your app, let's say you have, your Fitness Pal and all these different things that you might track your food with. Some of them will have a section where it talks about macronutrients, and it has your fats and your carbs and your protein. That's something to pay attention to, because you need fat because it helps you with energy, but it also helps your body to take in those fat soluble vitamins. So think of your vitamin D or your vitamin E. They're also good to support your body from a nervous system perspective, or they help to keep your brain intact and together and keep all those neurons firing up there. It's very, very important. And when you're consuming your healthy fats, in addition to just having a well-rounded diet, meaning having your fruits, your vegetables, your clean, lean meats, or your clean sources of vegetable protein, it really does help to keep you balanced and you feel full longer. It reduces your risk of developing things like heart disease and diabetes, and it reduces inflammation, which ding, 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 ding. that is what you want to avoid when you have a thyroid disease, because a lot of times your body is inflamed and your thyroid gland is inflamed, and that just wreaks havoc on every other biological process that you have going on inside of you. So we know that having a well-rounded, a healthy diet, we know that it's good for your heart. We know that it reduces cholesterol. It helps to reduce that inflammation. And it's just really, really good to start getting in the habit of baby steps. So if you're someone that doesn't like vegetables, if you're someone that really likes steak, try to figure out creative ways to slowly incorporate more healthy habits. Whether if you're a person that eats out a lot because you travel for work. I know that's something that I had a period where I was constantly going out to get certifications. And not only was it difficult because I was eating out every day, but I also have irritable bowel syndrome, and traveling and me just, we have a very love-hate relationship. I love to travel, but there aren't really a lot of food choices for me when I go out. So I have to make sure that I pack snacks that I can eat that won't upset my stomach and make my travel miserable. So think about that. Pack a snack with you. Pack, some tomatoes or carrots, or just something that you can put in your bag that's not going to have a lot of liquid in it, so that if you take it through security, they won't take it from you. Think about packing. They have little containers or individual containers of hummus, and maybe grab some carrots, or take your favorite ice cream and make the equivalent of that with yogurt and mix fruit in it. And if you are a mom or a dad and you have kids, there are a plethora of Pinterest boards out there that give you suggestions about either incorporating your kids into the mix or creating really fun snacks for them. And remember, guys, people are watching you. So when you develop these good habits, other people are going to say, hey, wait a minute. What are you doing there? You're looking healthier. You don't look as sad as you used to. And I hope that you all are able to take that in as a great compliment. And hopefully that will give you that positive reinforcement to continue to make those small adjustments one step at a time. So with that, what I want you guys to keep in mind is slow and steady wins the race. Make those small changes in your diet. Try to drink more water. If you're not a fan of plain water, there are plenty of ways to make your water fun and creative. You can infuse fruit. You can put tea bags in it. You can put a little bit of simple syrup in it, just until you get to a point where you're doing a lot better, consuming more water. And there are just so many options out there. And because I know that it's difficult for some people to start initially, in the show notes, I am going to put links to some of my Pinterest boards that have snack ideas and different meal ideas that you guys can take. And if you're vegan or vegetarian, I have those too. Which brings me to my next topic. If you have not purchased my thyroid guide, I have a lot of that information in there so that you don't even have to think about it. You could just go there and say, okay, here's that information. Here's that information. Oh, wow. That's pretty cool. I can start exercising by walking. I can look at the complete list of different vitamins and minerals that help my thyroid, and it's in one place. Go to ebonycolina.com/thyroid guide to pick up your copy today. And remember, when you purchase that guide, every change that I make or addition, you're going to get that update for free. And that's a beautiful thing because I constantly come up with different ideas. I'm doing a lot of research to make sure that I'm providing you guys with as much information as possible so that you don't have to rack your brain trying to research this stuff all the time because I know how that feels. I was where you are. I spent hours just trying to find one thing. So I took all that work out of it for you. So head over to ebonycolina.com/thyroid guide to pick up your copy. And I really look forward to talking to you guys next week. Take care. Okay, thyroid warriors, get out there and take things one step at a time. Remember, be great, reflect on your triumphs, and as always, be well. Take care.